is thinking about direct service. So service is informed by community identified needs. So one of the things to really think about here is we don't want students just going out to do service because they want to do it, right? When we talked about students at that like membership or volunteer level, they're probably not super well informed about what needs to be done. So they need to be speaking to community members through agencies or nonprofit about what an actual need would be in the community. Or it could be something that you help to set up and help them understand more. But one of the things we definitely want to dissuade is students just going out and like, I'm going to do service, but not with anyone in particular or asking any particular questions of what is a need. So again, don't forget that balance between the service portion and the learning portion in your class. If you're applying for service learning designation, this is something that you will have to make sure that you can show in your syllabus. And there's also that balance between who's the beneficiary. Is it the person that's learning, or is it the person that's getting service? And make sure that you're working with reputable community partners. And it's okay to have more than one community partner that you might be working with. It's great to have really deep community ties, but sometimes not every community partner can give you exactly what each student needs. So that really depends on the projects that you're working on. And then another thing is making sure that you're collaborating with appropriate agency representatives. This is where I find so many of my students do so much learning, is actually like getting in to talk with the correct people. So I do have to give you an update. Our special speaker could not get joined in today, but she's going to send you all a special note later about she's a great community partner. But that's a great example, is that she's the CEO and she's great and she can talk about the community so much, but that's not the appropriate person for the students to be working with, right? They're going to be working with someone that's like a volunteer coordinator or someone that's directly working with the day-to-day problems. It depends on the organization, but helping students navigate that, like, oh, there's different people that work at this agency. There are different people that might be appropriate for me to be working with, is really a great learning experience as well. So now I want you to think about a time that you volunteered. So we're trying to put ourselves in our students' seats. A time that you volunteered and maybe it didn't go too well. So what were some of the things that popped up for you when that happened? You know, maybe some feelings, or I don't know, something else. Like, what was that experience like when you're like, I am out here working with the community partner and this is not so great? What was maybe not so great about it? Again, you can unmute and speak, or you can use your annotation tool and give us some ideas. Yeah, that is an excellent point. Disappointment. You felt like your time was wasted. You were underutilized. If students are going to some nonprofits, they might be oversaturated with people and there's not enough to do. That's not helpful for our students to be in that situation. It's not helpful for our community, right? There's so much need out there. Also, sometimes a community partner doesn't really understand what the students are doing. They think that they're there to just like check off hours, and that's not the point of service learning, right? We want students to actually be helping with a need so that they learn from their experience. Yeah, if something's unorganized, it is really frustrating, right? Your expectations aren't met. One of the assignments I love to do with students is actually a preflection, where I have them think about what are their expectations. So when you talk about your expectations not being met, you are setting up students to think about, like, what are my expectations before they actually go and do service, and that can be a helpful reflective tool as well, because then they can reflect on that later. Concerns about safety is so key. I have had experiences in the past where I've had to tell nonprofits that I am not sending my students back there anymore because it is not a safe environment. And that's an okay thing to do. Like, it is okay to say this is not safe for students. Or, you know, I check something out and I'm like, this is not a place. Like, your need is wonderful, but I can't have students being in an unsafe environment. Yes, this is wonderful. Yeah, wondering if you should discuss something with an organization or should you just put it off? Yeah, these are all wonderful things. Thank you so much for your insights. We're going to go to our next slide here, I think. And I went way too far because I got. Okay, so now I want you to think about positive experiences that you had. What are some of the positive things? And feel free again to annotate, or if you want to speak. Why was it positive? What, you just thought about something that it wasn't so great. So what were some things that when you were volunteering, you're out there working in the community that went really well? You got to network with people. Yes. It's a great opportunity for our students. There's research out there that says if you have volunteered and you become unemployed, you're more likely to get employed than someone that didn't volunteer, right? Because of networking, because of knowing people, seeing people and being encouraged. You learn something new. You felt empowered to do something. We talked about that efficacy that we want students to learn. Like, we've given them skills and knowledge, but like really letting them have that experience of doing it. I mean, there's a reason why I'm part of the Office of Experiential Learning, right? It's like students are getting experience through service learning and out in the field. Yeah, you're able to confront and challenge biases and assumptions. You might have had those biases or assumptions within you, or you might have been able to confront them in other people. Yes, all of it. Yeah, you feel good, right? That's a great thing. Yeah, does someone have something?
I can add if you want.
Please.
I do not know what's going on with my screen. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I look like on the whole, I don't know how to fix it, but anyhow, yes. During the quarantine, I started the association based on my Russian American Student Association at the UCF, Service and Love Together. So, and this association, Students Association, help, really it was volunteer, help the people who are in need during like Orlando against Corona. Mm-hmm. So they felt completely needed, you know, like proud of themselves that they help people, especially homeless people and people, international people who do not have place to live, and you know, so they help them with a different kind of like shampoo and taking shower and stuff like that. So that was really they volunteer and they wanted to volunteer, and they want to open this association at UCF. So I'm proud that my students and my it was former Russian club opened that like kind of a branch. So
yeah, another thing that I'm also hearing that's coming out of what you're saying is you did it with a group of people, like an association. And I love putting students into small groups to do assignments, because it also helps them with that team bonding and like feeling like I'm in the same situation together. So even if it's a good situation or a bad situation, they have that ability to have that group reflection, right? And that time to really talk to each other because they're building those strengths. But yeah, so this exercise is just to really help you stop and think about the situation that we're putting students in, right? Like, what is a time when you had a great experience? What's a time that it wasn't so great? And how can we help mitigate those for our students? Like, it's okay for them to have a not so great experience, but we don't want them to have an unsafe experience, right? We want them to be able to challenge biases and assumptions. We want them to feel empowered, all of these great things. So thank you for participating today. And I'm glad that if you hadn't used the annotation tool, you got to try that out. It's a really cool tool. I like to really use it on slides where I just kind of put something at the top and then let people annotate below, but there's lots of cool ways that you can use that tool. Okay. Okay, so the next piece that we've already kind of talked about a little bit is reflection. So when we're talking about that triangle, we talked about you got to educate the students, they got to have that strong direct service, and then they've got to reflect about what they're doing. So anytime that students engage in community work, they reflect upon their experience, and it's helping them synthesize service, education, community immersion portions. Time should be set aside to do this both individually and as a group. And it should occur both like organically and through structured. So that could be specific assignments about the service that students are doing. It could be just time in class to kind of set up to just let students talk about what's going on. I love to do just to have time where I kind of just bring up these little topics like I've done before and get them talking about it. So it's not necessarily for points. It just helps everyone see what they're learning, because they're making connections based on not just what I internally reflected about, but what other people are saying. I find it really powerful when you can do a group project for students to reflect together.